So, Marcus, we haven't seen you in the ring since January 2020, just over a year's layoff. Is there a particular reason behind this other than COVID and the pandemic more generally?
No, not really. No, other than obviously the like you said, the obvious that's going on. That's the only thing stopping boxing at the minute, and in my case as well.
Yeah, yeah. And what have you been doing in the meantime? Have you been training hard at all, or what have you been doing in the past year?
Yeah, I'm in the gym. I've been in the gym this week, so I'm just ticking over. There's possibly fights in the pipeline coming up for say March, April time. So we'll be just making sure that we're ready for then.
Yeah, superb. Well, I couldn't talk to you today without talking about what I would say your biggest victory was. That night in Rome when you won the WBC International. Oh,
Sorry,
no worries.
yeah, for a second. Go on, mate.
Sorry, the night in Rome when you won the WBC International silver title. A couple of years removed from that now. How do you look back on that fight and that experience more generally?
More so the experience in the fight. Going over there to Rome. In his back garden, as they say, and beating him there. It made it that that a bit sweeter, and it was a great experience. His first time fighting away from home, if you like. In a foreign country. But yeah, all around, the week was a great experience. The build up, buffer, and announcing him to the ring. So you don't get much better than that, do you?
Yeah, I'm sure you don't. And Rome, as we know, I've been to Rome. I know obviously you've been. It is the centre of the original gladiator, if you like. Obviously, your biggest fight to date. I'm sure you'll want bigger. I'm sure you'll want bigger titles. But does that hold something special, it being your only fight on foreign soil?
Yeah, definitely. It's no secret. That's my biggest fight to date, my biggest victory. And the day before the fight, we had a walk around Rome, and we walked to the Colosseum. And then a few days later, we was in the Colosseum after the fight, and it was special. We had the weather for it. The weather was beautiful. So yeah, it was a great experience, and coming away with a win obviously made it that much more special.
Yeah, 100%. How do you look back on your performance in that fight?
Watching the fight back a couple of times, it was a decent performance. Not great. Looking back at the scorecards, they had me down after I think it was 4 rounds. I think, which I didn't believe I was down. I believe I was well up on the cards. Even at the time of the stoppage, I think Sky had me down.
Yeah.
Which to me is a bit mad, because I've watched the fight back, and I'm quite a fair person. I scored the fight how I saw it, watching it back, and I think it was a bit unfair for people to have me down on the cards. I think I was at least, I think it was the 9th round that I stopped him. So out of the 8 previous rounds, I'm sure I won, at least 5 of them, at least. So yeah, luckily. I got this, not luckily, because we went in there with the game plan to go and stop Blandamora, as we knew it'd be tough to get a points win, and that was evident when we seen the scorecards come out after I think it was 4th round. They had me down on the cards, which was a bit mad, but yeah, boxing, I suppose.
I'm not going to call anything about corruption or anything like that, but can I ask, going into a fight against an Italian in Rome, is there any added pressure from your own psyche, if you like, to get that stoppage victory?
Yeah, we knew going into the fight, even before we'd landed in Rome, we was well aware that it'd be a tough ask to get a points win. No, I'm not going to say call robberies and all that lot, but we knew we'd have to go out there and either win very convincingly or get the stoppage. And yeah, 9th round, that's all she wrote.
Well, let's move from past to future. When are you looking to get back in the ring? And I know you obviously can't go into specifics, but is there anything in the pipeline, potential opponents or anything like that you can talk about?
Nothing scheduled or down, in black and white, but we're looking to get out sort of late March, April time. is what we're aiming for. That's when we'll be ready for fit firing. So there's been, obviously talks about the Brian Rose fight. Now, I'm not sure what Brian Rose wants to do. The fight's sort of been lingering in the air for a good few months now. And there's sort of no, definite. Obviously, Brian's, it's clear that what fight he wants the Fitzgerald fight, which, fair enough. If you want the fight, say that's the fight you want. I don't want to fight you, but for whatever reason, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Brian Rose doesn't want to fight me. He doesn't believe he can win the fight. I don't know for what reason, but I personally don't believe that this is Brian's first choice fight. Whether he doesn't think it's a big enough fight for him, or the Fitzgerald fights, you can get the Fitzgerald fight to come off and be a bigger fight. Obviously, Preston and Blackpool, then fair enough. But that's a possible fight for sort of this year.
Yeah. Can I ask as well, having won the international title, do you feel like them big fights are a greater possibility? Having that recognised title behind you. Yeah,
I do think so. It's something to fight for, as opposed to going into a 10-round or 12-round fight for nothing. I suppose people think a ranking. Yeah. So the definite reason why someone would want to take the fight with me.
Yeah. Now let's move on to your gym, or one of the gyms that you train at. I'm sure you train at a couple of others or work between. Joe Gallagher's gym or academy. You're now my fourth fighter from there. I don't know if you know that we've had Natasha Jonas, we've had Paul Butler, we've had Callum Johnson, and now yourself. So I'm very happy about that. Can I ask, how much has training at that gym improved your game and maybe your tactics or strategy going into these fights?
Well, for starters, just being around the fighters that you just mentioned, for starters, that's huge. Success breeds success and all that, and it's just it's a buzz. I've been around this group for years now, so it's more of a family than a group of lads that you just train with. So it's massive. But yeah, Joe's attention to detail and fine tuning is why I'm at the gym. I don't want anyone else in my corner at the minute. Joe's obviously there's been a time when I moved away and I come back because I felt it was right. I had to go away for my own reasons and rebuild, sort of away from there. But being back with Joe now, I know it's the right place to be, and I'm back enjoying boxing again, and it's the right place for me.
Yeah, superb. And can I ask, some of the names I've just mentioned? There's obviously others. The Smith brothers, there's Anthony Crawler, and a plethora of others. Who do you work with most in the gym in terms of other fighters?
Well, obviously there's sort of 10, 11 fighters in the gym, but on a day-to-day basis, normally a lot of us would be working together, whether we were doing bags or a circuit or pads, sparring, whatever. But obviously the lads around are my weight. Joe would probably get us in at a similar time, whether it was me, Liam Smith, Callum Smith, Jose Burton. They're the sort of group that he'd have us in, working together. But yeah, it's rare that we're not all in. Grafting and working hard together, to be honest.
Yeah, superb. And let's carry on talking about the future. Obviously, I don't think 2020 has been an ideal year for boxing, more generally, truth be told. If we talk about the next 12 to 18 months, what do you want to accomplish in that time frame?
I'd like to be just fighting regular, first and foremost. Like I said, it's been a year that I've been out of the ring. It's a long time and it feels like a long time. So I'd like to get back fighting active before the year's out, hopefully I'd like to say at least 2 or 3 fights in before the year's out, at least. When that happens, I don't know. But if not, I'd like at least some meaningful fights. Like I said before, the Brian Rose fight is a meaningful fight for me. I think it's a great fight for the fans. So, as long as I've got some meaningful fights in, I'll be happy this year.
Yeah, superb. So ideally, we're looking at a March to April timeframe. Would you take the Brian Rose fight first, or would you like a little bit of a comeback fight?
No, everyone's in the same boat. No one's getting warm-up fights and soft touches before a big fight. It's not the case with boxing at the minute. Brian Rose isn't. I don't think he's planning on having any warm-up. So going into that fight, I don't feel like I need a warm-up fight going into that. I think it's a fight that can just be made quite easily. If both parties want the fight. So, as long as that happens, then I think we can, look at that fight happening.
Yeah, superb. Final question I've got for you today, Marcus. You have one of the more original nicknames in the sport with Sweet M&M. Where did that... I understand the M&M is probably your initials. Is that right to say?
Yeah. Marcus Morrison.
Yeah.
It's obviously where they're from.
And who gave you that name, and where did it come from?
Well, Sweet was a name that was given to me when I was a kid. I remember having that, when I first turned amateur, which obviously I had my first fight at the day after my 11th birthday, which was when 11 you was allowed to fight. And I don't actually know where Sweet come from as a kid, but that popped up in my very early amateur day. I think even before my first amateur fights. I started boxing at the age of 7, and it sort of caught on from an early age. And as a turned pro, put them both together, and here we are, Sweet M&M.
Sweet M&M. Well, brilliant. It was great to talk to you today, Marcus, and I very much thank you for your time.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just before we finish, how can people find you on social media?
Marcus Sweet M&M. All social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, the Facebook, the lot. So yeah, Marcus Sweet M&M, social media.
Superb. And before we finish, is there anything you'd like to say or sign off with, or at all?
No, just I know it's been a tough time for boxing and fight fans as well as the boxers. Everyone's missed boxing, but stay tuned and hopefully there'll be some big fights.
Hopefully some big fights, including some big fights for yourself this year as well too.
Exactly.
Superb. Thanks for your time today, Marcus.